Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Friday edition of Age of Quarantine. I am David Castillo from Saint Vitus. Welcome. You can follow me at Confines World. We're going to be joined today by my good friend Jordan Olds, who does 2 Minutes to Late Night, aka Arsenio Hall, the host of the show, who's been doing all sorts of incredible stuff during the quarantine, before the quarantine, etc., etc. I'm gonna pour myself a drink. I think that Jordan's joining us right now. I'm gonna get some Casamigos going, and I hope everyone is okay on this Friday. And I'm looking forward to talking to Jordan greatly. I talked to him a bunch, but I have never talked to him like this, because it's weird to interview your friends just randomly. So here we go. All right. Dos late noche. There we go. Doing it up.
Hello,
Jordan Olds. Mi amigo.
David. What's up, man?
Mi hermano. How are you? Good to see you.
Oh, I'm alive. I'm making it. I'm gardening. I'm doing yoga, trying to make it through the plague rebellion.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot. There's a lot of things to do. I have tequila. I have a Three Floyds laser snake.
I have a laser snake. What?
I have a laser snake, dude. Look at this.
What is that?
It's a beer by Three Floyds, which is a brewery from Indiana who does all this cool metal shit. And basically, they have just been distributed on the East Coast for the first time, like this past month, which is great. So
listen, I'm sold on Laser Snake. Oh, all right. Like, I want to hear a band called Laser Snake. I want to play a video game called Laser Snake, and I want to drink the Laser Snake. I'm here. I feel boring now. I have a Pacifico. I have a La Croix lime.
I love that.
It's the best one. It's the best one, man.
La C for DC works. I love it. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. You're great. It's great to see you and to take a chat for a hot moment. We talk all the time. We've been collaborating for a long time, but there's a lot of things I don't know. And tonight we get the hard answers.
Oh shit!
We get
no!
We get the hard answers.
Yeah.
So, you've seen enough of these. We kind of start with just the entire journey. So starting from when you're a kid and things of this nature. So first question, simple, is when did you first realize that you were starting to get attracted to music in general when you were like a youngster?
You know what? Like, my first memory of just like getting excited about music was, I remember this kid in middle school was talking about a Korn song he heard, and he was talking about it like it was the worst thing he had ever, like he watched an R-rated movie and was like, saw some shit that he could not unsee. I think he heard a song off of Issues, and he was doing this creepy voice and talking about eating children or whatever, and I was like, that sounds awesome. And that's my first memory of getting excited, at least about heavy music. I remember the first album I tried to buy was I tried to buy Limp Bizkit and Korn when I was in middle school. And I remember my parents were like, no fucking way. No way. And I ended up we had an agreement, okay, it's fine. And I bought the first Foo Fighters record.
Oh, so Color in the Shape.
No, just the self-titled one with the little hose spray
the one
gun
with the little gun on it, the Mentos joint.
Yeah, it had for all the cows. It has the one with the really cool riff, and it was the first time I had heard a screamy vocal.
Well, and could I ask you, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Colorado. I was born in Rochester, New York. Like I fell out of my mom, and we were in Rochester, and they were like, "This sucks. We should not be in Rochester anymore." And so they moved. And when I was from 4 years old to the end of high school, I was just in Colorado.
Got it. So we're experiencing all this in Colorado.
Yeah.
In a rather suburban setting, a rural setting. What are we looking like?
Dude, it is very suburban. Like it was like like me and like my like dirtbag friends would skateboard to the mall, and then like the day would be, I guess we're getting kicked out of the mall. You know, it was.
I grew up on Long Island, a similar mall kicking out of scenario. I can identify.
It's so weird that was like the day. It's like we're going to the mall, not to buy anything. Like we'll go to Sam Goody or Tower Records, but the main goal is to eventually like make a security guard go like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And we're like, "I know. All right, we'll leave. Bye."
Yeah. Sunrise Mall. That was in the mall. I was a big Busy Bee guy, and Tri-County Mall. I bet you could buy an RPG at Tri-County Mall in the 90s. If you're from Rhode Island. So there's a lot of like weird malls and places to sort of be around. So that was sort of like your first foray, and like you were kind of getting into music at that point. When did you start getting pulled down kind of the path of a more underground music and things of that nature? When did that kind of string start being pulled for you?
I think it happened when like I got firmly into metal like immediately. I eventually like got like found Korn albums, and then immediately blew past nu metal, like very brief nu metal phase, and then found Metallica and thrash, and I loved that. But all of my friends were getting into like pop punk. All of them liked like Blink-182 and Taking Back Sunday and all that stuff, and I couldn't really. It wasn't really my thing. It was fine, but I think when they found like when we found like hardcore, we were like, okay, we can all agree on this. And I think like when we found like Every Time I Die and Norma Jean back in the day, like original singer like Josh Norma Jean, like we could all kind of agree on that. And I think that's what kind of like we would go to see those shows, and then we would find out about like our local hardcore bands, and then I just kept digging in further and further until I was like just really loving like death metal and Madball and stuff.
Got it. Yeah. So it's always interesting how that sort of progression happens and where you're at. Like, for me, bands like Taking Back Sunday, like Ed from Taking Back Sunday, brought me. He did, get this. Ready? You ready for some wild shit?
Yeah.
Ed from Taking Back Sundays, girlfriend's younger sister. Follow me. Ed from Taking Back Sundays, girlfriend's younger sister's best friend was my girlfriend, and took me to go see my first local hardcore show with Silent Majority and Ed's current band before Taking Back Sunday that was called Runner Up, whose drummer was Chris Enriquez, who would later become the drummer of On the Might of Princes and one of my best friends of all time.
Yeah. Whoa. Oh my God. It all comes together.
Blown away. But these are sort of the odd connections that we make, and you're trying to figure that out. And it wasn't like I really knew what was going on. I was just trying to get involved in music around my time and my world and things of that nature. When you were a kid, did you play in any bands like in Colorado and stuff?
Dude, I did, you know, I did, but like I ran into like I would try to start a lot of bands, but like it was like me and my one friend who just wanted to be the singer
Mm.
of whatever band we were doing, and I was like, okay, I don't know. At that time, like I remember I sang in the car one time to a song, and my mom was like, don't ever do that again. So I didn't sing for years.
So your mother scarred you, and
Scarred me, ruined me forever. But like I started like trying, like, you know, I had parents who kind of didn't, like, they heard the music I was listening to, and they were like, this is no career for you, a young Jewish boy. You can't be playing music with this shouting.
yeah,
So they,
my mom,
it
my
was,
my parents would go, oh, aquí, ahí va David con su música de gritos. Would be so música de gritos would be music of screams. There he goes with this
yeah,
music of screams, walking around, you know, and I'll be
yeah,
like,
that's, they were like, they didn't take any of it seriously. So like, you know, I would have to, I think internally I didn't really take it seriously, and that way, like, whenever I like was in bands and we would run into like every embarrassing like local band problem that you could possibly have, like, I don't know, we had like so many people came in and were like gonna be the bassist of the band. And I remember we played our first show without a bassist, and like my distortion pedal didn't, like, blew out on stage. I played like my entire first show clean, no bassist.
drink, 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 drink.
Awful, dude. It was a battle of the band. I remember it was a battle of the bands, and it's really funny because like that band Havoc, that's like that thrash metal band
Yeah,
that's really
they're
big right
great.
now.
Havoc,
They're so great,
H-A-V-O-K.
huh?
Havok. That Havoc,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
dude,
they're great.
they have been that band since I was 13 years old. They have. I remember they were the only band who was doing thrash back then. Like everybody else was like either in like a My Bloody Valentine band or a screamo band, and then it was Havoc. And they were like, I remember seeing like, I was like so jealous because I watched them. I'm like, look at them, they just get to be Metallica, and I went like my whole adolescence being like, nobody can be we're done with Metallica, we're moving on.
Yeah, and you're like, no, that's the thing.
Look at them. Yeah.
Got it. So you started playing, and guitar was really the instrument, and you played super well. And until you guys started doing more stuff with 2 Minutes to Late Night. I mean, at first I just really thought that you were more of a comedian and stuff, and then I'm like, this kid is fucking good at. I mean, wow. Okay. So, when did guitar playing kind of get introduced to you and stuff like that, and how did you start picking it up?
So I guess it was all kind of a part of the same process. Like when I found like thrash metal music, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do. Like I bought like I saved up like lawn mowing money, and I bought like, you know, I was in middle school and I loved thrash, so I bought like the BC Rich, like with a battery amp, like combo at like a Sears or something.
Yeah.
And it was it was garbage. It was so bad, but that's kind of how I started. And I remember I took lessons for I think 2 years, but then all of the lessons would be like my teacher was trying to like teach me something, but because I couldn't see really how to apply it, I was like, yeah, but what if we learned like Call of Cthulhu? What if we did that? It's pretty sick.
How about how about that one?
Yeah, I wanted to know all of that shit, and then I inadvertently shot myself in the foot with my bad learning patterns, because now just as I, like, even to this day, even with like filmmaking or any skill that I pick up, like I learn as much as I need to finish the task in front of me, and then I stop. So
Oh
I
man,
only,
dude, I feel you so hard on that as well. It's one of those things where it's like the old saying goes, it's like youth is really wasted on the young. And now I'm like, oh, dude, I could have like learned this or done that, but like I just got to the point where I could, finish, yeah, like what I wanted to do. Oh, make the first Aeschylus demo, or then and then like years later, when the first band that I was like, to me, like really in was Primitive Weapons, and that started more, when I was, geez, like 26, 27 years old. So,
yeah,
and then at that time, I'm like, oh, I'm playing a lot of catch up, and still I feel that way a little bit too, So
oh yeah,
I feel you on that for sure.
dude. Even with like with all of the covers that we're doing, like I'm learning new techniques for each cover, because I'll be like I'll have to like sometimes figure out how to like play a keyboard riff as a guitar riff, or I'll have to figure out how to play, like, since we use a really weird tuning on the show, because it's all based around like variations of the tuning that Mutoid Man uses.
The
And
Brodsky note.
dude, yeah, the Brodsky note. It is the brown note. It's so big, but it's basically like we turn our guitars into like pretty much just chonky 5-string guitars. So I'm like figuring out how to play a riff, but all on like one string sometimes, and it's such a pain in the ass. Like we have a cover coming out in a few weeks, and the riff, the way I had to like morph the riff to work in the weird tuning that we're using, to be on one string, it sucked so bad. It sucked to film it. It sucked to track it. It sounds great, but it fucking sucked.
God.
And speaking of guitar lessons, that's how I met Steve.
Really? But
Yeah.
how did that?
I remember I saw, well, like Drew and I, my partner Drew, who makes 2 Minutes to Late Night with me.
Of course.
We became friends because we were the only people at our like liberal arts college that like liked hardcore music and wanted to like and knew how to like make fun of it in the same way. Like that was our bonding thing, is just like, oh, you like the same bullshit music that I do.
Yeah. Like you're willing to take the piss a little bit.
Yeah. But we made the way we made jokes, like specific, like we had never met anybody else that like knew how to like poke fun of it in the way that we like the weird kind of inside humor that we have. But we went to see just a show at Vitus, and we're just like little pipsqueaks. We're nobodies.
Go to school.
School of Visual Arts.
Oh man, a bunch of SBA kids slogging it out at Vitus.
Yeah, man.
I love that.
Yeah.
What did you guys go to school for? Was it for filmmaking, both of you?
Yeah, well, Drew Drew eventually had to like drop out due to like a whole bunch of bullshit. We both don't like SVA. It's not, we like the idea of it, but we think at least in the film department, there was a lot of bullshit. But I graduated. I have like a BA in like film directing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But also whatever. Like most of me going to art school was me watching kids cry and go like, okay, I learned that I shouldn't cry right there. Like,
yeah, and tonight we go to Saint Vitus.
Yeah.
So and what was that like? Tell me.
Oh, dude, I mean, it was intimidating the first time we went there, and it was but I remember the first time, like, I really felt super comfortable. I think we went to see, like, a Revocation show or something, and Mutoid Man was was like opening for them or something. They were opening for somebody. And I remember watching them and just being blown away that they were just human Muppets. Like, they had so much fun. I had never seen a band have this much fun playing together. And I think that that was, like, such a key thing. And after that show, I went to, like, look them up, and I saw that, like, Brodsky was, at the time, like, giving guitar lessons. And I wanted to, like, I hadn't been playing as much since I was, like, you know, going to film school and whatever. So that's how we met, is he just agreed off chance to teach me some scales and shit. And we kind of became friends over that. And we, like, bonded because I was working at Vice at the time. And I was always pitching music stuff. And it was always like a goofy music idea for Vice. Like, I remember one of the first videos I wanted to make there was, I wanted Reggie from Reggie and the Full Effect and, like, Keith Buckley from Every Time I Die to play golf together and talk about, like, 10th anniversary shows. So we had a whole pitch about, like the concept of people just discussing 10th anniversary stuff for Noisy. And then through that, I kind of, Steve was like, you need to meet my bass player, Nick, because he's the funniest person I've ever met. And I think that, like,
confirmed.
So, yes.
Confirmed. Yeah. I met Nick basically through a bar. So I used to DJ at a bar called Macri Park every Friday, and I was in charge of booking all the DJs before I did Vitus, and I would DJ there every Friday night. And Nick...
Wait, Macri Park on, like, right by Union Pool?
Correct.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, and so I met Nick because he used to work security there. And I was like, look at this, like, cool, like, rock and roll kind of, like, dude. And, like, you know, I'd be like, I'd come in and I'd DJ, like, hip-hop, everything from garage to hip-hop, and just, like, a bunch of stuff. Like, it would be really fun, and, you know, everyone would have, a really good time. A lot of friends would show up and stuff. But, like, Nick was working security and stuff like that. And then we get into talking about, like, a bunch of other stuff, like metal and hard rock and other stuff. And I was like, man, I really like this dude. And he was doing sound for, like, a theater at that time. I was like, oh man, I was like, yo, you know, I'm working on this project, and, you know, you should come by and, like, see if you could kind of, like, do some stuff. Like, you know, we had built up a friendship over time at that point. And so that's how he became, like, you know, pretty much our first lead sound guy at Saint Vitus. Yeah. And then as far as, like, Mutoid Man and stuff, like, I was a huge Brodsky and Ben Toller fan for a very long time. The first time that I saw Steve play, it was on the Jupiter tour for Cave-In, and it was a Boys That's Fire and Snapcase, and these guys were like, whoa. They were taking, like, these toy laser guns and, like, putting them on the pickups while, like, they were playing, like, solos over, like, the big riff, like, bum, 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 bum. And they were, like, on the pickups and stuff. And I was like 16 or 17. I was like, I don't know what is happening, but this, like, half the people wanted, like, you know, Juggernaut era, and I was just transfixed on what they were like, doing. And I thought it was brilliant. And I've told Steve this, like, you know, 10 beers deep many times, but and he's a lovely human being. And then it was really cool because, you know, Nick had seen Julie Christmas with him and Ben, and how that whole thing kind of came together. It was really a band born of the bar. And then I feel like you guys, as far as the show, kind of, it brought, like, another, like, you know, kind of, like, level to those sorts of relationships. And how it sort of kind of came together. And I'm just so blown away by that, because I didn't, you know, it's not like we planned it. I booked Julie Christmas, did a couple of things. You know, Nick's a cool person, you're a cool person, Steve is too. And you start building this sort of other base, you know? So
Yeah.
you going to the bar, you meet Steve, learning to, you know, play, you know, guitar a little bit better through him and stuff, which like who couldn't. And then when did like just and then you meet Nick and stuff, and then when did kind of like the 2 minutes thing start coming into the foreground? Because your kind of goal was to be a filmmaker. Is that sort of right? Or
Yeah, I wanted to be like I wanted to be like a comedy filmmaker of some kind, or like I don't know, some kind like a dark whatever. Just I wanted to do something. I liked movies, and I was doing stand up. I like after college I moved to LA for 2 years, and I was mostly doing stand up out there. But I remember
love that we glossed over the LA period. Like,
dude, nothing I moved out there. The LA period is really short, but it's really funny why I did move out. Like I had I had a family friend. Like it's so weird. It was like my dad's friend's like son, and that guy was going to direct the Old Dirty Bastard movie. He got a get. He like I thought he was lying, and it was gonna be with Michael K. Williams from The Wire, and like it was just gonna and like I remember because it was based off of this book.
Michael K. Williams, a Williamsburg resident for a while.
Huh?
Michael K. Williams lived in Williamsburg for a while.
Yes, he did. He's also such a good actor. I was so excited.
Oh,
I loved,
genius.
you know, I was out of college, so I finished some version of like a college hip hop phase. So I loved the Wu-Tang Clan. And
I actually almost walked into that dude's dog one time. And
really?
And that's like one of the only times I met him. Yeah, it was like walking to get to work. And like head down, you know, and I was like, fuck. And this is pre-Vitus stuff. And I'm like a bartender. I'm like, fuck, I gotta open this fucking bar. And then all of a sudden there's this little dog like walks into my path, this little dog, and they're like, Wah! And I'm like, oh, fuck. And I like kind of look like this, and I look up, and I'm like, oh my God, it's Omar. And he's looking at me, you know, and I'm like,
yeah.
And I just like, he's like, oh, it's cool, man. And I'm like, all right, cool. And I'm like, I gotta get to work. You know? But that was my one interaction. So you were in LA, and this was what it was, and then what happened?
So I moved out. Well, like I moved out with I wasn't gonna like do anything important on the movie. I was gonna be like a post PA. Like they would shoot during the day, and then the plan was like I'd take the footage and I would like put it into the computer or whatever. But what happened is 2 weeks after I moved out there, that guy got fired from the movie, which I did not realize could really happen. Like even though I went to film school, I hadn't really heard about directors getting fired from movies. So I couldn't believe that happened. They shelved the movie. They never made it. And then I didn't really know anyone else. I had a few friends, but mostly like that's kind of why I just decided to start doing stand-up, because I didn't know any musicians. I didn't know like any camera. I didn't know how to make a film. So if I can just ask, so before this foray into stand-up in LA, trying to do that, it's not something that you wanted to do or you even kind of attempted to do beforehand. It was like, this is just what's available to you at the time, and like I'm gonna go for it. Yeah, honestly, I mean, I had always everybody, I think, like when you find the stand-up that you like, you love it, you know. So I loved what I loved, and it felt like an art form that I could do by myself I didn't need anybody, and that makes it also like the scariest one. It sucks ass to do stand-up. Like everyone who does stand-up has been very brave, and they stuck it out, and like eventually when I moved back to New York, and I had like all these, I I had like people I knew that I could work with, and slowly the stand-up started to fall away a little bit. But where the show came from is there's a local band who played Vitus or opened for a lot of bands at Vitus all the time, Godmaker.
Great band.
They were solid band, good dudes. We love Pete, we love Andrew, we love John. But they, I had met them through Nick, actually, I think, at the bar. And they were talking to me, and they found out I did film, and they pitched me that they wanted to do a music video. And they sent me their like EP and also the song they wanted to use. And I saw that every song was like fucking 20 minutes. Every song is an hour. It's way too long. I love God bless Godmaker. But I did like the concept of doing like a local band music video with no budget and like trying to make that interesting. I was like, we can only do a performance video. And I've done a million music videos, and they're all the same. And I'm trying to like figure out what I can do to make this fun. And I thought about it, and I was like, it'd be fun. Like, as I was thinking about stuff, I was Drew and I, when we were roommates, and we were watching just like old talk show performances of metal bands. Specifically, we were watching like old White Zombie footage. Because there's just something really funny about like David Letterman being like, ladies and gentlemen, their new album is called Le Sexorcisto White Zombie. And it's so funny.
Hand movement.
Yeah, I loved it. And I realized like that actually it would be fun to do a music video that looks like a VHS rip of a talk show performance. So I was like, we could build like a fake talk show on a set and like with a fake host. And then we were like, we can make it like a satanic talk show. Like we can have a corpse painted host. We can like have pentagrams everywhere, like with the moon or whatever. And it would just start with like him like with like a host that just like talks about their album, and then they could play for 14 minutes and it looks like shit on VHS because we would have had a really funny setup for it. But then the more I thought about the idea of like the talk show, the more I just wanted to make it. So that's
where it was like, maybe it's not a standalone thing. Maybe it becomes episodic. It becomes more of, no, we're not we are Letterman. We're not like a vehicle. We are satanic Letterman.
Yeah, and then we started. Then
can we hold on 1 second? I know that it exists now, so we take it for granted. Like we take for granted things that exist, because we start to get used to them. Like Saint Vitus exists, and so we like I sometimes take it for granted. Like at first, it was like nothing. You know what I mean? It was an old plumbing school at the end of Manhattan Avenue.
No way! I didn't know that.
Some Saint Vitus history.
That makes sense. Why the 2 Minutes Couch is now covered in piss. It all adds up.
It
began with toilets. It ends with toilets.
It begins and it ends with the toilet. But it takes, if it wasn't for Artie and George's imagination and seeing something else in that space, or your imagination and seeing something in like, oh, wait, what if we really created this like whole vehicle for this that, I think for a lot of people just watching right now, it's like, imagine it. You know what I mean? Like, imagine what something can become, 2 minutes to late night seems like a fact now, but it started here. And that progression is like really important. So when you guys started to kind of figure out, okay, maybe we can build it. What led you, Jordan, to come to us and to want to do it. Because for me, my feeling is that it just popped up one day. And
Yeah.
and I'm like busy booking shows and doing stuff, and I go, yo, Nick's gonna film this thing here with some friends, and it's like a late night talk show that's like based on metal, like a you know, like a Letterman Leno of metal. And I was like, sounds fantastic. If it's half as funny, if it's half as funny as Nick is, it'll be great, you know. And then off you go, and then like off I went, you know. And then that was kind of it for me.
Yeah.
How did you, so once you met Nick and stuff like that, how did it kind of come to pass? Because I don't even really know. How about that?
So the idea came from like I liked the concept of it, and I thought that there was like a world where we like Drew and I could pitch it to like a media outlet. So because you know, Drew also came from like the world of UCB and like sketch. So he was also like from comedy. So we were like, okay, well, I'm working at Vice, and we also know all these like Funny or Die people. We could probably make this and pitch it somewhere, because I think someone might want this in some form or fashion. So that's where like the idea came from, and we wanted to make like a really like by the book pilot episode. So we were gonna shoot it like we talked to Nick, like originally, like, you know, the show was gonna be Nick and Dave Hill, the comedian. Do you know Dave Hill?
Witch Tank forever, baby.
Yeah, dude, Witch Tank. He went on to play like a ton of characters on the show, but the original idea why we thought we could get it to work was we hit up Dave Hill. He loved the idea for the show, and we were like, okay, Dave Hill's the host, and like I pitched, since I was seeing Brodsky every week for lessons, I just was slowly like kind of pitching him the talk show idea, and he was like, Nick is so funny, you got to talk to Nick, and we like, because I think it's a really good idea. And then it was set that it was going to be like Dave Hill and Mutoid Man, and we like picked a day to like film it. And since Nick was involved, he was like, we can shoot during the day at Vitus, like before I have to like mix a show, like, because I'm gonna be opening the bar anyway, whatever.
Yeah.
So that was the original like plan, is like he's gonna like sneak us in there, and so we're all like, dude, we went to like then we like, all right, we got to get the props or whatever. So we went to like Yonkers to buy a desk for $30. We rented like a U-Haul.
That desk was in our basement for so long.
I fucking hate that desk. The pilot episode desk sucks. It was a nightmare. That's why, like, we had to get rid of that desk. We had to like beat the legs off of it in the basement, and then we got a guy who like has an ice cream truck of scrap metal to drive out front.
It was
and
fucking
take
insane.
it for free.
Yeah, I remember the desk. Absolutely.
The desk sucked. But so, all right, we're sneaking in there, and the biggest thing is, like we talked, like a huge thing about the show was we didn't want it to just be a metal show. We wanted it to be metal themed, because we love metal, we love the fun of metal, but I love all types of music. I love so many different like genres, and I thought it would be more fun if like other types, like if hip hop artists, if like Saint Vincent and like the ASAP Mob were on our show, because that's way more like, funny than if
you
we're
wanted to make it plural, and which is it's a cool thing. It's like, yo, you know, we can have it be this way, but we can bring a lot of people into the world, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why the first episode, the pilot episode, is like we were lucky enough to get to email Ben Wyman and have him agree to do it, and then we were also lucky enough to have Laura Stevenson, who's a punk, who was in Bomb the Music Industry and was like a singer-songwriter. She agreed to do the show, so it was going to be like, here are the two like speeds of guests you're going to get on the show, and we can have fun with all of them. And we originally didn't do covers on the show because we were like, if someone buys the pilot, we can't have any copyright issues. So like, that's why in the pilot episode, they play like Laura Stevenson sings with Mutoid Man.
Yes.
And the original version of the show, like we did it so exactly like a talk show. Like we had monologues at the beginning. We tried so many different things. But the monologues, we realized like jokes about like current music happenings, like we would have to put out the show immediately after we shot it, or else immediately the jokes are irrelevant and it doesn't
it's just not hitting.
Yeah, it's dated. So, we cut so many different versions of it, and eventually when our friends Advice and Funny or Die all got fired because that's just the way that media companies work. We didn't know anybody at either at any place, at any company where we could sell this thing. So we just put the pilot episode out ourselves.
See, I remember that as well, and it felt like it was like a pretty brave move. Like you guys are just sort of betting on yourselves to kind of continue what you guys are doing and following your own nose. And then I feel like in a way you guys are kind of going like, hey, we're going for the big major label deal early, but now all of a sudden you're like, you know what, fuck that. We're going to just start building this thing on our own and getting good at it. And I think that once you started, like you said, you cut out the monologues, and then you started doing these vignettes, and who my favorite character is.
Our Melissa.
Absolutely genius. One of the funniest things, period, to come out of 2 Minutes to Late Night ever. Yeah. But also, you start doing more of that sort of stuff, like kind of on the spot stuff and things like that. So how was that decision? So like you said, like a lot of people left and you were kind of left to your own devices. Do you think that in retrospect, that's like a positive thing, right? Like you were like, fuck it, we're going to continue to grow.
Well, I think how it worked was we were like, all right, we've shown that we can do a full episode of this. So rather than let's take a baby step and try to do some of the more elaborate sketches that we had thought of. Like that's why I think one of the first sketches we did was Open Up This Mic, which was
at the Pig Destroyer show. Yeah, that was cool.
At a Skeleton Witch.
Yes.
Skeleton Witch, dude. That is probably the biggest case of imposter syndrome I've ever had in my entire life, because no one knows what this fucking show is yet. We are downstairs in the basement with Oathbreaker and Iron Reagan and Skeleton Witch, and Oathbreaker doesn't they're not from America, and they don't really know who we're also in the Vitus basement green room area, just me and 7 nerdy comedians in the corner. I'm painting my face, and these real working bands are just the fuck is this?
Yeah. They're from Belgium, and they're very
yeah, and they should be, because their band is great and very intense.
Incredible band, but they're ready to do what they're going to do, versus what you're going to do. So,
dude, yeah, I think that.
Oh my God!
When we arrived, like,
hold on, stop the interview. Show everybody what you have behind you.
What? Oh,
the Van Halen portrait from Saint Vitus's green room. You
Yes.
deserve that.
Well, it got tagged.
It did. I remember.
Yeah, and they were gonna throw it away, but Drew grabbed it after the season finale taping.
That right there is history, and I'm so happy you have it in your apartment. So that's fabulous. But that's what goes on down there. Wild, crazy stuff happens in the St. Vitus basement.
It is dude. It is like it is just, it's just chaos. It's just people partying and also sleeping, and like it is like a cartoon of like what like heavy metal life is, but in a 10-foot room. It's super.
Yeah.
It is a really special spot, and like I have a lot of stuff from the Vitus basement. This I think is the most special thing I have from there.
Wow, look at you.
So this is from the pilot episode. Like I found this in the Vitus basement because like we didn't know, like I didn't know I was going to be playing guitar in the episode, and I like mentioned to Steve, I was like, if you want to, like, since we're filming this and we're like tracking everything, like I can just probably hop up and play like the harmony to your solo in Bridge Burner. And I just pulled a Jaguar out of the basement. It was just like covered in trash. And like I was like, Nick, whose is this? And Nick was like, that has been here for like 3 years. We don't know whose Jaguar that is. You guys had a pile of like 4 Jaguar guitars that was just in the corner. That's why at the beginning of the pilot episode, I just throw one because I was like, there's just 4 and no one cares.
And no one cares.
No one fucking cares. So, I don't know, over the years, like, I just had this. So I just started making it my own thing. Like, I put this pickup in it. I gave it this weird paint job.
Dude, that's hot as fuck.
Dude, yeah. It's a pink Van Halen Frankenjag with, like, a Randy Rhoads headstock that my friend...
Gone too soon.
Dude, gone too soon, for sure.
But, dude, that's amazing, though. That's super cool. So,
yeah.
You guys, do all of this stuff as far as, building the show. And, like you said, you're, like, doing, like, you start doing segments, Hard Melissa, like, in this pit and stuff. Like, you're in the venue. And for people who don't know, that segment is basically you doing interviews in the middle of mosh pit in St. Vitus during, like...
No, I'm hosting a stand-up open mic. Like, so comedians are trying to do their actual material while people are trying to mosh to Skeleton Witch.
Yeah, like in the middle of a show, and the only thing that I can ever say that I'm excited about or like I give props to for St. Vitus in this entire thing is that we just let it happen. That's it.
You did. No one has ever let us do that sketch anywhere else. We have tried so many times. Last year or earlier this year,
people are like, "Hey, Jordan's on the phone," and I'm like, "Yeah, all right." I'm like,
yeah, you guys let us do whatever. We tried to open up this mic at High on Fire and Power Trip at Elsewhere. At like
those bastards.
Tonight we
our friends, but those bastards.
No, they're great. It's a liability. No one should do it. Like don't let us do this sketch, but please let us do the sketch. It's really fun.
Yeah.
But we had we had so many people like ready to go, like Power Trip new comedians, so they were trying to get some comedy people on the show, and they were down. But then when it came to the actual like red tape, like, you know, a lot of a bigger music venue like that is like, dude, no fucking way, no way. People are gonna get their asses kicked. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And we've ran into like a lot of that over the years. Like there's a lot of it's amazing what we have gotten away with. But there's a lot of
the covers and everything else like that with license, like a lot of those sorts of things, obviously. But yeah, I mean, but I feel like 2 minutes to late night is the people's champ. It's the people. It's the people's champ. I'm telling you, it is. I'm a big mixed martial arts and combat sports fan. You're the Jorge Masvidal. You are the people's champ of
that rules. I love that
comedy shows in the heavy space. We all know it. I know it. We all know it. You are the people's champ. And that is very obvious. And the main obvious thing is you guys started on the show with the covers.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just really taken a life of its own. And we've seen it kind of step up. And I mean, like, look, man, I mean, I think that maybe people forget that, you know, you guys have done covers on the shows with John Baisley and, you know, you just said Ben Wyman, like all these amazing people. And then I feel during the pandemic, it's just kind of sort of spread out and done more. Can you talk a little bit about how you've been trying to kind of keep the torch of 2 minutes to late night kind of going while, you know, we can't do stuff in front of a live audience and all these different segments that we love in this pit, the Heart Melissa, all that stuff, because it feels like you took one aspect of the show and then actually let it go like absolutely through the roof.
Yeah. So, you know, we were talking for a while, like we can't do, the problem with the full show is the show is hard to make because we're making a show and like we make it at a high quality, so it's hard to make it with not a lot of money. So we were talking about how we were actually talking about doing the format that is now referred to as like quarantine style covers. We were talking about doing that before the actual pandemic. Like we shot the Weird Al cover before the pandemic, and we shot that at the same time as Steve's portion of Riff Raff by AC/DC. The Riff Raff cover, those were shot on the same day. And that's why you can see that. That's why it's like the one, they're like, why is Steve in Jordan's apartment? Like, that's why that's happening. And then so we had already had those like in the works because we were like, the problem with 2 minutes to late night, I think, like really getting a fan base is we've never been able to tour and we've never been able to release stuff consistently. And I think that that's key to building an audience, but we didn't want to make like a lower quality version of the show to make it easier. You're like Neurosis. Yes. I mean, fuck me for saying I have no right to call myself Neurosis, but I'm gonna take that. But I think what happened is that the second the pandemic happened and people were flying home from tours, like we realized we still have the Patreon and we're doing these covers. Let's flip it so the Patreon money can go to, like, it'll just all go to the musicians and people on the show because they need something right now. They need, like, they're not going to be able to play shows for a while. Let's do that to just help people out. And then once these started, once we started releasing these, we just got so many people who wanted to participate. We got Chelsea Wolfe finally. Chelsea Wolfe has wanted to do the show for 4 years. it's been hard with her for time because she's busy. Like,
Yeah, I mean, touring
that's
schedules and so on and so forth. So you're finding a lot of availability with musicians, right?
yeah. Well, that's always been the hardest part of the show is like booking a musician in New York. It's like a week. We have a lot of people who want to do the show, but it's like, hey, are you gonna be in New York and not doing a show? And do you want
Yeah.
to do a show? It's
Yeah,
a lot.
or like,
It's like,
you know, you're driving in, you're loading in, you're doing all the things to just do what you normally do, and to find the time to do something else is also difficult, and so on and so forth. And there's a lot of
yeah,
energy and things like that. And because the covers are so amazing. I mean, we have everyone from Jamie Josta to Max Weinberg to, you know, members of Mastodon and Baroness and obviously Steve and Nick, and like just an
yeah.
amazing array of different musicians from the underground and so on and so forth, that it always gives me joy to see what's next. And a sneeze. A sneeze.
And a sneeze. Sometimes, you know what? It's been allergy season for the entire year.
Yeah, but it's just great to see what you guys are sort of doing, and it's like Danny Carey from Tool and like different people, you know, who are just kind of buying into sort of the aesthetic, which is really the aesthetic of the show, because you guys have been doing it for so long, right? So it just feels like you guys continue on.
Yeah, I think we've been able, like, here's the thing. Putting out a cover each week, really hard, super hard. It's like
unbelievable, and to get the motivation to do it, honestly, and to be like, cool, like we're gonna keep working so consistently through this is very admirable.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's rough, but like it's good for me to have something to focus on that is creative in a way, but it doesn't mean I have to really create the entire thing. I think it's doing a cover song for 2 minutes is easier than full on writing an album right now, because I think there's only like I can't really get an array of experiences to be inspired to write other songs. And I only assume that other musicians feel the same way. I feel there's a lot of pressure for them to feel like, oh, I gotta write an opus in the quarantine. And I think that with these covers, it's easy to just get some performance energy and like a little bit of creative energy out without feeling like you have to like make the next step of your career right now when in a pandemic.
Yeah, and I think it's just like an amazing step, and it's super cool, and it also shows how awesome the platform of 2 Minutes to Late Night is, that you guys have created this really from, you know, zero to now.
Yeah.
So we have like about a minute left, and cool. Jordan, I just want to thank you so much for, you know, coming on, talking to me and stuff like that, and actually giving me more insight into the whole thing, because I'm a music guy. I don't necessarily know everything that goes on to putting on the great show that you do and everything else. But I can speak for, I think, you know, a lot of us when we look forward to all the work that you do and that the crew does, you and Drew, everybody else involved. And, you know, it's great to just see a new cover on a Monday and having something fun and really cool to look forward to. And we look forward to, you know, being able to host a show again when we can safely and do, you know, it even bigger and better than it even was before. So thank you so much, Jordan. You're inspirational figure, my man.
Let's do it, dude. Thank you. And guys, thank you for watching all the covers. I mean, not every week is going to be Max Weinberg playing hardcore, but they're going to be fun. They're always going to be fun. There's going to be surprise cool guests every time, but
and that's it. Yeah. That's all we need is fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what it's
Guaranteed
for.
fun.
So I love you, Jordan. We're out. 5 seconds.
I look at you. Bye.